Nancy Cordes joins us now by phone from Capitol Hill. Okay, Nancy, what can you tell us about this particular briefing? We know that President Obama and Donald Trump were briefed last week, but what was the sense? I know it was a closed-door hearing. What can you tell us?
A lot of senators who want to know what the president and what the president-elect know and what the Gang of Eight, this small group of congressional leaders, has been told as well. And the larger group of 100 senators may not get all the detail that these very top leaders have received, but they want to be in the know. They want to understand as well as they can exactly what U.S. intelligence officials know about how Russia attempted to hack these democratic groups, how much success it had, not just, in Democratic organizations, but in Republican organizations as well, what kind of information it got, what it chose to put out in the public, what it chose not to put out in the public, and what can be done to prevent similar incursions again. Because whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, the fact that a foreign nation like Russia was able to meddle in a U.S. election is very disturbing.
Nancy, can you tell us about the timing? Why now? Why did they choose to brief folks on Capitol Hill today?
Well, there were a lot of questions after the report was finalized last week about what was in it, what were the details that couldn't be shared with the wider public, and it's in the interest of intelligence officials who take this very seriously, but are well aware that there are a lot of people out there who have heard otherwise, and one of those people, notably for a long time, was the president-elect himself, who cast a lot of doubt on the information that they were gathering. So they really see it as being in their interest as well to meet with all of these lawmakers together and tell them what they know. And they're going to be doing the same thing with House members as well. Of course, lawmakers can have loose lips, so it does increase the possibility when they meet with such a large group of lawmakers that some details that they would rather stay private actually get out into the public domain. So that's the risk that they're taking.
I want to turn now, Nancy, to Obamacare. Senate Republicans took their first major steps to dismantling this. They did that this morning with the budget resolution vote. How can you explain how this process works and why Republicans are deciding to take this route?
Well, the reason that they decided to go this way is simple. It's because by doing it as a budget resolution, the way that the Senate rules work, it enables them to pass the eventual repeal bill with 51 votes, a simple majority in the Senate, instead of the 60 votes that it normally takes. Republicans have 52 members, and so as long as they don't have more than 2 defections from their side at the end of the day, then they will be successful at repealing the Obamacare law. The question is that there are some Republicans, a small group, but it's large enough, who really believe that Congress should be passing a replacement bill pretty close to the time when it passes a repeal bill. They worry about the vacuum that will be created if there are months and even possibly years between the time when the Affordable Care Act is repealed and something is settled on to replace it. And so, even if a couple of them decide to stand up to their Republican colleagues and balk, then the repeal process may not go as quickly as we expect.
You talk about the repeal process. We know Senate Democrats unanimously oppose this, but how can they stop it if they don't have the numbers when it comes to a vote?
The only way they can is by getting their argument out there in the public eye and making the case that chaos will ensue if Obamacare is repealed without any replacement in sight. The problem is that no one really knows exactly how many people would be affected if the Affordable Care Act were to be repealed. Republicans are promising that there will be some kind of stopgap measure in place for a certain period of time. So in that sense, it's difficult for Democrats to make that case. They don't have, hard facts. They can't say, well, the next day, 7 million people are going to lose their insurance. We simply don't know how large the impact will be. What they also have to count on is that President-elect Trump himself, who has said that he would like to see a replacement bill. In fact, promised in his press conference yesterday that there would be a replacement bill almost simultaneously with the repeal bill. They will need him to make that case to Congress. The Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, was asked about that this morning, was asked, well, did the president-elect actually tie your hands by insisting yesterday in his press conference that these two things would happen back to back? And he said, oh, no, not necessarily. We are all on the same page, and we've actually spoken a couple of times about this in the past few days. But it is clear that there is a difference of opinion on this front.
And Nancy, it's my understanding some GOP lawmakers have expressed concerns about repealing Obamacare. What are their misgivings? Just that there isn't something intact right now to replace it?
Yeah, well, they're worried. First of all, they're worried that people will lose their insurance. They say you've already got insurers pulling out, and how many more will pull out when they see the writing on the wall and see that Obamacare is not long for this world. And then beyond that, they worry that Republicans will get the blame if millions of people do lose their insurance. Another pragmatic concern that they have is it's all well and good to say that there will be a replacement. And, a lot of people earnestly mean that. But we've seen example after example of Congress, trying but failing to pass legislation, even though many, many people want to see that legislation, because at the end of the day, there are serious disputes about what should be in it. So, it's one thing for Republicans to say they want legislation. It's another thing for them to actually pass it. And what some Republicans fear is that they may never be able to come up with a replacement that enough Republicans, and they'll need some Democratic support too, can agree on to pass anything.
Nancy Cortez on Capitol Hill. Nancy, thanks for keeping us posted.
You're welcome, Rena.